Will call to order the January 8th, 2025 meeting of the Hendersonville City Council. We begin our meetings with a silent invocation for people to pray or meditate as they choose, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will stand. Join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We allow time for public comment at the beginning of the meeting. We have 4 people signed up here. Is anyone online seeking recognition to speak?
Madam Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. When I call your name, if you would come up and give your name and address for the clerk's record. If you can keep it to, excuse me, 3 minutes, that'd be great. I'm nuts. You want some water?
You want us to call the first
Sorry.
person? Okay, Joshua Lardy. If you can, just state your name and address for public record.
Yes.
Thank you.
Joshua Lardy, 827 Blue Spruce Way, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37912. Live than usual. But good evening, council members and members of the general public. My name is Josh Lardy. I am the Chief Compliance Officer for Apotheca. In light of the recent hemp ordinance, we would like to make ourselves more widely available to work with the community directly. We've been pushing for statewide legislation on hemp regulations for a number of sessions with the help of the Speaker of the House, Tim Moore. Much of the current proposed bill was heavily influenced by our concerns with the sheer lack of rules and regulation currently in this industry. We want what's best for our customers and to make sure that the rest of the industry does as well. This was achieved through strict rules and regulations, which we've demanded from our legislators and have not received currently. We share your concerns and hope to be an example in this community, not a detriment. If anyone has any questions or thoughts, I have a fresh stack of business cards at the ready. Please do not hesitate to reach out and contact me for anything. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I would ask, if you wouldn't mind giving your business card to the Chief of Police?
Absolutely. I have
Give
a,
him 2, one for me and one for him.
absolutely.
That way staff would have it if any questions come up.
I'd be more than happy to. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and then I think the next person is Katie Breckheimer.
Yes. Thank you. We did a little switcheroo and it was.
Yes.
Can I just say how wonderful it is to see an all-female council? I'm so pleased.
We should clap. We should clap. We should.
And I would like to talk to you, but I'll miss my points if I don't read my statement, so I'm gonna do that.
Ms.
My name-
Breckheimer, would you
My name
please
is
just?
Katie Breckheimer, 1393 Macedonia Road, Saluda, North Carolina, 28773. And even though I live in the county, Hendersonville is my town, so let that be clear. Good evening and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Katie Breckheimer and I'm the chair of Support Our Swimmers, which has an acronym of SOS. We are a group that is working to get a year-round indoor swimming complex for Henderson County. Our direction comes from a professional 2019 needs assessment contracted by Henderson County Parks and Recreation that showed a swimming pool is in the top 5 needs. We understand that Patton Pool was severely affected by Hurricane Helene, and you will soon be hearing the results of an assessment. Moving forward, we hope that you will invest in restoring or replacing the pool with something even better, a pool that is available all year long and not just a few weeks in the summer. Our community is sorely lacking in swim facilities, especially one that is open to our richly diverse population. We are aware that Patton Pool has been allowing only 50 people at a time to come in to escape the summer heat and enjoy family time in the water. Lines form outside the pool in hopes of a chance to get in. We understand that the pool tiles have been crumbling and the changing rooms are not being cleaned adequately, which puts a black mark on our reputation. We can and should do better for our citizens. Recreation is just one category that a year-round pool provides. Others include physical therapy, low-impact exercise, training for first responders, kayak and scuba training, lifeguard instruction, master's swimming, swim lessons for all ages, and fitness opportunities for both young and old. In a water-rich community like ours, we need to teach our people how to swim, but we can't do it without adequate facilities. Hendersonville High School and West High are both have swim teams that practice at our local crowded YMCA pool. But the other two high schools, North and East, with the lowest socioeconomic student populations, do not have teams, which is a shame. At every turn, we are told how expensive it is to build and maintain a pool facility, but SOS is not deterred. The swim project we are proposing can and should be a public-private partnership with the city, county, school system, hospital, corporations, tourism development authority, and private citizens all participating. So when you see the results of the Patton Pool assessment, which should be coming soon, please keep in mind the great need and opportunity its restoration or replacement presents. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Butcher?
Thank you to the mayor when she comes back and city council for giving me time to speak on the subject of Patton Pool. My name is Jen Butcher, 3561 Willow Creek Road, Hendersonville, 28739. I am on the SOS committee that Katie is leading. Our mission is to research, study, and advocate for the need of a public year-round swim complex in our area. My family and I moved here in 1988, and my three sons swam on the HCAS, which was the Hendersonville City Aquatics team, from 1998 until 2002. Thanks to access to the Patton Pool facility, the team grew from about 20 swimmers to 200. Swim lessons will acquaint a child with water and teach them a few basics of the strokes. A swim team will turn them into powerful and confident swimmers. The HCATS and Patton Pool, did this for hundreds of children. Patton Pool was built about 50 years ago, I understand, and was a beautiful public 50-meter pool that many diverse groups, families, swimmers, and events and tourists alike enjoyed. Certainly a gem in our community. The HCATS in our community were privileged to host the New Zealand Olympic swim team in 1995 and 1996. It was an exciting time that led us to expand the impact of hosting the New Zealand swimmers. We partnered with the school system to host the Kaharangi. They are a group of the Maori Indigenous people of New Zealand, and they travel to educate students. They presented programs in many of our county schools. One of the New Zealand swimmers, Daniel Loader, won 2 gold medals. All this was only possible because our community had a 50-meter pool. Unfortunately, as you all know, Helene damaged Patton Pool. I encourage the city to repair and to consider upgrading the pool, as Katie mentioned, for future generations to enjoy and learn to swim and help to drown-proof many children and adults. Let's not be the generation that lets down future children's chance to learn to swim and to love and to be safe in water. And I'm sorry I put 2024 on this. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Omar Zafra?
Hello everyone, my name is Omar Zafra. I live at 283 Fox Cove Road in Hendersonville, North Carolina 28792. I'm also a member of the Hendersonville Environmental Sustainability Board, but I'm not here on behalf of that board, just on my own. I'm here basically to talk about two different things. One is something that kind of weighs heavily in my heart, and I'm sure in most of our hearts, and that is the lives lost from the devastation of Helene. I live 1 block away from where unfortunately 4 mobile homes washed away, and we tragically lost several neighbors. And I wanted to bring up two things to the city council, the mayor, and to the city manager. One is, after doing some research, it seems that the landowners of that plot of land where the mobile homes were washed away and unfortunately passed away, the landowners unfortunately also have passed away since, including Curtis Holbert, which he recently passed away in November. This has unfortunately made it pretty difficult to kind of locate anyone that could help coordinate the debris cleanup on that private land. And so I'm hoping the city can help our community by finding a solution on the debris cleanup, so us and the surviving family, such as Beverly and Vicky, don't have to have that constant reminder of their tragedy. You know, seeing the debris every day, we all need to kind of start the healing process, but unfortunately, that can't start until the debris has been cleaned up. The second thing I want to bring up is I think the city should consider a memorial for all of our residents and neighbors of the lives that we've lost in Hurricane Helene. Importantly, floodplains and the remapping of floodplains, as I'm sure will come up in the Above the Mud discussions. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, those mobile homes unfortunately didn't have a chance, unfortunately. They used to sit on a plot of land that has 2 creeks, where 2 creeks intersect, Mud Creek and Clear Creek. The result was that those 2 creeks kind of collided, and then the water rose in that area 14 to 17 feet, swallowing those mobile homes and washing them away several hundred feet, leaving the debris behind in what today still looks like a war zone. You can see the picture. To prevent such tragedy from occurring again, I hope the city can work with the county and the state and FEMA on acquiring that land and turning it into a memorial park, preventing homes to be built there and creating a memorial park for all the lives lost and affected by Hurricane Helene.
Thank you. Do we have any online public comments
There
tonight?
are no hands raised.
Okay. Then we will move along to consideration of the agenda.
She's back. Just a second cough drop there.
Sorry.
Actresses, I don't have anything really serious, so we've gotten through these?
Yep.
All right.
Madam Mayor, I move that the city council approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, is there any discussion? Not those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, we have our agenda. Consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to have moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda so it can be discussed? Not a motion to approve those items?
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there any discussion? Not those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, and all of those have been taken care of. All right, we have a couple presentations, and the first one is on our fiscal year 2024 audit. Crystal.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of City Council. I would like to introduce Travis Keever, who's here from Gould Killian CPA firm. And he is here to present our fiscal year 24 financial audit.
Make sure I can figure out how to work the clicker before we get started. Good evening, everybody. On December the 12th, we finalized the audit report for the city of Hendersonville for the year ended June 30, 2024. This was our firm's first year serving as the city's independent auditors. We appreciate the opportunity to serve, and we appreciate all the help from Crystal and other members of the finance staff with the explosion of new accounting standards, complexity, grant funding that the state has. Its preparation for these audits has become harder and harder each year. Your staff did a really good job being prepared, being responsive, so it makes our job easier, so we really appreciate that. We issue 4 separate audit reports that are included in your financial statements. The first is a report on the financial statements themselves. We issued an unmodified opinion on the statements. It's a clean opinion. That's what everybody wants when they have an audit. This means that we believe the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We also issue a report on internal control and compliance, internal control over financial reporting and compliance with state laws and regulations. This is known as a Yellow Book report. This was specific to government. You don't see this report in the private sector anywhere. Keep in mind, we don't perform a full audit of internal controls or a full audit of your compliance with laws and regulations. We only review controls to the extent necessary to plan and perform our financial statement audit. We do this in a number of ways. We test a sample of expenditures to make sure that purchase order policies are followed, that expenditures are approved by authorized individuals, the budgetary authority exists for the transactions, and that invoices are coded to the correct budget code. We also test a sample of payroll transactions. We make sure that employees that get paid are actual employees of the city and that they're paid at an approved rate for the number of hours that they worked. And then we conduct walkthroughs with key personnel in the finance department and others to ensure that a system of checks and balances appear to be in place as it relates to controls over the city's financial information. So clean audit opinion, we reported no material weaknesses in internal control and no compliance violations. So it's as good as you can get on those 2 fronts. We also had to perform what's known as a single audit this year on 5 of the city's major grant programs. We noted no instances of non-compliance with any federal or state grant programs, and we noted no weaknesses in internal control over that compliance. So again, the same system of checks and balances that exists over your everyday financial information also exists over your federal and state grant information. So that's what you're looking for there. So that's essentially 4 clean opinions. That's as good a report as we can do, or as we can give as far as that goes. Now, about 2 or 3 years ago, the LGC started a metric-based program called Financial Performance Indicators of Concern. When we finish our audit each year, we upload the information into a spreadsheet that the local government commission provides. They calculate some metrics, and if any of the city's information trips one of those metrics, falls out of their tolerated range, then we have to talk about it here. We had one of those pop up this year. Fund balance available for appropriation was 23.8% of general fund expenditures. The LGC, and I think council's policy mirrors the LGC, wants around 25% of expenditures. That represents about 3 months of expenditures. The LGC considers anything below that to be a risk and that the city would not have adequate reserves on hand to cover emergencies or unforeseen circumstances. The average fund balance available for similar size units to the city is about 46%. Now you guys were, I think, around 29 or 30 the last couple of years. Just mathematically, I think the reason you dipped below 25% this year, probably due to the tax revaluation, your expenditures overall were higher, basically increases the denominator in the equation of available fund balance over expenditures, so you need more fund balance to stay above the 25% threshold. And we actually had a modest fund balance decrease this year in the general fund. So that caused that to dip a little bit below 25%. So they'll ask y'all to provide a little explanatory letter, which we're happy to assist with if needed. Couple of general fund statistics. This is a pie chart showing general fund revenues by source. About 60% of the city's revenue comes from ad valorem taxes. Another 23% comes from local option sales tax. About $3 million or 12% comes from other intergovernmental. That consists of franchise taxes, PAL bill revenue, things of that nature. And the remaining 1.6 million, which would be investment interest and things like that. Mix up the rest. On the expenditure side, this is what you would expect to see in a unit about this size. Roughly 50% of general fund expenditures are public safety, police and fire. And then the others are split pretty equally between public works, debt service, and general government. This is a bar chart that talks about what we alluded to earlier with the fund balance available. You can see from 23 to 24, the slight decrease in fund balance of about $500,000. Fund balance available, of course, also went down with that. And then this shows the percentage we talked about earlier, where you were at 29% in 2022, that's the red bar, 30% in 23, and about 23% in 2024. The blue line above that is your population group. That's about 46%. That's kind of your peer group. The green line above that is all municipalities in North Carolina. Some enterprise fund statistics on the water and sewer fund. Working capital, which is current assets minus current liabilities, is about 12.6 million. That's about 6.5 months worth of expenditures, so a good reserve there to cover anything unforeseen. Operating income of about $500,000, change in net position of about 12.7. That's due primarily to capital grant funding as well as contributions of capital assets from developments and things of that nature. The fund generated about $5.6 million in cash flow from operating activities and had a net decrease in cash of about $750,000, again, mostly due to capital. The property tax collection, some statistics on that. You can see 22 and 23 are very similar. 24, you had the tax revaluation, so you can see the effects of that on there with tax revenue going up about $3 million. And that is about all I had. I'm happy to take questions if anybody has any.
Questions?
I'll make a couple of comments. Thank you for doing this work. I'll remind Mayor Vogt, members of the City Council, that your auditors work for you. The governing board did not work for staff. So they are here to answer any questions. I'm sure if they wanted to meet separately, they would be glad to do that after this meeting. Because again, they are your auditors, they're not our auditors. So that's important to know. Secondly, your fund balance policy says when we drop below 25%, it's staff's responsibility to bring a plan back to the city council on how we're going to get it back above 25%. So we're going to work on that and do that. That is what we'll submit in the letter to the local government commission. So it's not somewhat unexpected. We knew we were going to be close based on some capital projects and things and increasing expenditures. I mean, our revenue model showed that we were going to be close. And that was one reason, again, we advocated a little bit this year for that tax increase. So anyway, that is where we are. Again, thanks to our auditors for the work they're doing. And those are just our comments. We'll be glad to answer any questions the council may have also.
Thank you so much for coming in and making that presentation.
Thank you.
We do have another presentation, Love and Respect Community for Recovery and Wellness. Ron Davis.
First and foremost, we just want to thank you guys for having us. This is
our entire lives, and we're gonna try and fit it into the time allowed. Let me figure out the clicker real quick. We are Love and Respect Community for Recovery and Wellness. We are a 501c3 registered nonprofit organization, and we just kind of want to come here today and let you know what we're doing out in the community, talk about our mission and our values, and where we intend on going in 2025. Our mission is to transform lives, restore families, and help create a healthier community by providing peer support to those living with substance use disorder, mental health diagnoses, individuals struggling with houselessness, and returning from incarceration. We use the term peer support in there. A peer support specialist is an individual with long-term sustained recovery from substance misuse and/or mental health diagnoses who has been abstinent from those things for a year or more and who is qualified to then help an individual who's also struggling with those things. Again, we're a recovery community organization, so we are staffed by all individuals who are in recovery, long-term sustained recovery, and we come from a place of understanding with the population that we serve and are able to connect with them through lived experience. We have a peer living room program. Our peer living room is a home-like environment for our participants to come spend time in a recovery conducive environment, and we just create safe spaces for the individuals that we serve. Our services are available at no cost to anyone, but we are particularly focused on reaching marginalized populations that may have barriers to traditional care. Our primary focus is minority communities, rural and remote communities. The programs that we have include, but are not limited to, we have peer one-on-one sessions. We have a computer lab in our center for our participants to use who may not have access to technology. We have a workforce readiness program where we help individuals who have struggled with these things find gainful and meaningful employment through assistance with their resumes, through acquiring job interview clothing for them, mock interviews, you name it. We do have a street outreach program in Henderson County. So we're on 7th Avenue, we are in the campsites, we're in the abandoned buildings of Henderson County, ensuring that individuals who may not be able to get into our drop-in center still have access to the services that we provide. We have training in community education, so we have anti-stigma training, signs and symptoms of substance misuse, verbal de-escalation, and those trainings are available at no cost to anyone in the community as well. We provide reentry navigation, so we provide services to the individuals that are incarcerated in Henderson and other detention centers to ensure that they know that there's a better way to live once they are released. Many of our peer support specialists are previously justice involved and can kind of come from a place of understanding. We assist with driver's license restoration, resource navigation once they get out, and then connectivity to care such as treatment, recovery housing, things like that. Resource navigation, I'm probably going to say it another 5 times in the next 5 minutes because it's a ton of what we do. We do have a clothing closet which has expanded in the wake of our response to Hurricane Helene, but we do keep year-round a clothing closet for individuals so that if they are needing just a shirt on their back or a special outfit for a job interview or their first day of work, we can provide that for them. We also provide group facilitation. I'll go into some of our specific groups in a little while, but these are all held in our peer living room space, which feels really inviting and safe and non-judgmental. And then we do distribute disaster relief supplies. That began 2 days after Hurricane Helene hit, and we are still doing distribution every single day.
Okay. Hi, thank you. We made this slide for a presentation to family members supporting those who are in addiction, and this was meant to just let people know what kinds of resources are out there. So we spend a lot of time chasing down something that somebody needs, and it's different for every person. Recovery community centers like us is often the first place they come. A lot of the people we work with have burned every other bridge they have. And so we are a low barrier, no judgment facility. I think one of the things I like the most about my job is that I don't have any authority over anybody. I'm never there to drop the hammer on them. I don't scold them. It takes the same person to detox and recovery 4 and 5 times. That's okay, because it might take 4 and 5 times. So they're never going to get scolded from us. So peer support, community outreach, but detox, residential recovery, recovery housing. There is recovery housing in town. There's not probably as much as we could use, but sometimes people connect to intensive outpatient support. But there are also family caregiver support groups. It's amazing how much of this burden is carried by families who don't know there's support out there for them, and how challenging it is to watch somebody you love go down the road of addiction and feel helpless, isolated, alone. So we try to very much connect with families. MAT, medicated assisted treatment, is starting to work its way more into the mainstream, and the doctors will tell you that the success rates are much higher with people who will go that route. Harm reduction to ensure safety, and the mobile crisis response. Any number of these things may be something somebody comes into us needing, and often they don't know that they need it, or they don't know that it's available. And I went the wrong way. Let's try the other way. I'm gonna go back. A sampling of some of the groups that we do have, and these are just all recent, and Olivia, if you want to talk about any of the particular ones, but you can see that reentry support, LGBTQ support, men's support group was one I ran for a while, and I've had some requests to bring that back out. It's a mental health support group for men. I think our art group is probably one of our most successful and most well-attended groups. It's quite fun to sit down with the variety of people that you sit there and create, and amazing what you see created, and it's just a it's a very, very easy group to be part of.
I also want to say, while you're looking over our groups, I didn't address what we put in front of you, but those are our community impact statements for the past 3 years. So we have 2022, 2023, and 2024. 2023 is when I met you, Mayor, when you came to our first ever grand opening. We have since then moved spaces, but this just kind of addresses the need and the use of our services. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay, that's fine. And then the newest offerings, we have a disaster support group for people affected by the hurricane. And then we have also allowed our space to be used for NA meetings and AA meetings. And then you can see the clothing day. Disaster relief has become a part of our existence. Our philosophy really is that our job is very much to plant seeds. We don't know which thing we do, which thing we say is going to be the thing that makes the difference. I think honestly, my bias is the most valuable thing I can do is hold a non-judgmental space for somebody to come in. They're used to being judged, they're used to being shunned, they feel rejected, neglected, and for right or wrong, they really need an encouraging space to come, sometimes just catch their breath. So we plant seeds of connection and encouragement, and there are folks that are in sort of a long-term holding pattern, and that's about the best we can do for them, but we're always glad to see them, we always connect with them, we always encourage them. Eventually, we can move them towards support and resources and recovery skills, life skills, and where we want to get them is to wellness and success. Sometimes it's just hot coffee and a new pair of socks, but sometimes it's job interviews and job interview clothes, and it's always fantastic to have those success stories. Just a snapshot of where we started. We opened our doors here in Hendersonville in 2022. At the bottom is our Community Recovery Center and Peer Living Room. That's an ongoing heartbeat of our organization. Very, very widely used. It's been really busy this week with the cold weather. We engage in mobile outreach, not just in the town here, but into the outlying areas, wherever there might be a lack of resources, particularly although the rates of substance use are similar in rural areas. The rural areas often don't have the resources, so we try to make ourselves available there. Community engagement and partnerships. We cannot survive without collaborations. We'll mention a mobile outreach van that we were able to buy last year, and so we, that's a new part of our programming to take our office mobile. Workforce readiness. Disaster relief became a big part of our life after the storm, and while it has changed us completely, we have a 40-foot cargo container full of hurricane relief supplies, and it has also enabled us to connect with people we would never have connected with. We've increased our volunteer force. We've reached into the Hispanic community in ways that we weren't able to before. And we're connecting with entire families, some folks still living in tents and where their houses are unlivable. And then future directions, a peer-run respite center is on the horizon for us as a home-like environment, as an alternative to incarceration for people who are in a crisis, who just need to decompress and have a safe place to come. We're also pursuing after hours and crisis response services, trying to make our services available to law enforcement as an alternative to incarceration. It's sometimes there's few options for somebody in a mental health crisis, and sometimes they just need a safe place to decompress and connect and be heard and feel safe and calm down, and often things can be moved forward from there. I won't read the bullet list for you. We engaged a strategic plan in 2023, and Olivia can tell you a little bit about the plan and how that was developed. These are just some of the items that came out in that strategic planning and that we kind of consider part of our checklist of things we've done.
Yeah, so when sitting down and starting our strategic planning process, our strategic planner said to us, just write down everything that you want to do, even if it feels like it's beyond your wildest dreams. Write it down, we'll get it on there, and then we'll set some goals in place. We have come out ahead of plan with all of these things that were beyond our wildest dreams at the time being. One of the larger things, and I also won't read through the entire list, but one of the largest things that we had planned was identifying and acquiring a larger office space. We were over in Chadwick Square. We have moved into a space that is 4 times the size of where we were previously, which has increased our capacity, increased our programs, and I think just increased what we're capable of doing. Of course, obtaining funding to purchase a mobile unit was also a really large, it was just a win for us, and we were able to expand that programming as well. And then we've been working hard to diversify and expand our funding to support and expand current services. Going along with the respite, we were given confirmation from a funder that we could start the respite in 2025, and that has also been just out of this world and beyond our wildest dreams when we started this strategic plan.
This is by no means an exclusive and I couldn't get everybody on here, but I wanted to highlight some of our community collaborations. We absolutely cannot exist without collaboration, because we're a resource hub. We connect people to resources, but we have to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody and have them know who we are and send someone over to an office. So these are just some of the folks that we have collaborated with recently. And I'm gonna, at this point, turn the talk over to our director, Lexi Wilkins. And we always make him go last in these presentations, and so because we don't like to follow him in speaking, and we'll be glad to take any questions.
Shows us up every time.
Yeah, no, you might need to control the clicker. Good evening. We appreciate the opportunity to come before you and just share a little bit of who we are and what we're doing here in the county. I want to say to you that recovery is possible. If there are no questions when we sum this up, I'm leaving out of here to head to my 20th anniversary celebration of sobriety. What I want to share with you is that we do recover, and once an addict, not necessarily always an active addict, but we play well with others. We don't have an S on our chest and trying to do everything. Personally, again, I started my journey here in this area January 6th of 2005, and haven't found it necessary to change that date. My experience qualifies me. I was co-founder with Sunrise over in Buncombe County back in 2016, 2017. I'll share with you that I am a certified alcohol and drug counselor, a peer support since 2010, and a community healthcare worker, peer support, all the things recovery. I believe that this is the calling on my life, and was able to connect with some real cool kids and do this, who share the vision and do this. And there are many people that believe in us. Dogwood was our first. They started. They gave us our springboard. They believed in us, and we have partnered with them and Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, Hendersonville, and various other organizations have believed in us. And I think that they have put their belief and their faith in the right place. We have not faltered. We just doing what it is that we're called to do, and we're grateful to be here in this community with the hopes of future collaborations with the city, the county, so on and so forth. We invite you to come by, 350 Chadwick Avenue, the old Hendersonville counseling building, I call it the big yellow barn. And stop in and you know, see it for yourself. We're there Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 with the hopes of, as it's been said, expanding our hours and taking our own personal lived experience and assisting those who may find themselves currently caught up in situations where they need someone to walk alongside of them. We believe that we support, not help. Help is to do it for you. Support is to do it alongside of you and with you. Are there any questions?
Questions?
All righty. Thank you.
Glad to see that you are not only progressing, but really moving on up from that first little visit I had with you all.
Well, you know, our first visit, I think that was my 3rd day of work at Lebanon and you walked in and I said, that's the mayor. So I'm glad that we get to see each other again.
Thank you for the work you're doing for this special population that we have.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to celebrate.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay, we do have some items of new business. Fortunately, no public hearings tonight.
Happy New Year to us.
Yeah. First of all, appointment of finance director.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, we had a vacancy for finance director, and after a thorough thought process, John and myself decided that we had a great internal candidate for the position. Crystal Powell is here tonight, and the agenda item is to resolve to appoint her and take the oath of office as finance director if council so supports that move. Crystal has 9 years' experience with the city, almost 9, getting close, a master's of accounting from Western North Carolina University, and is a certified local government finance officer through North Carolina GFOA. So if there's any questions, I'll take them now, but otherwise I'd love to move forward with the oath of office.
Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council approve the resolution by the City of Hendersonville City Council to authorize the appointment of Crystal Powell as City of Hendersonville Finance Director.
Is there any discussion? Not, those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it. And we officially have a new finance director. Congratulations. We do have a swearing in. And we have okay.
I would ask maybe one of her staff to come and hold the Bible for her. I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. Okay. It's left hand on the left. And if you would just repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Crystal Powell,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
with which are or may be established
which are or may be
for
established
the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend
and I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States.
not with, can you repeat that?
Not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States.
Not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States.
To the best of my knowledge and ability,
To the best of my knowledge and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I, and state your name,
I, Crystal Powell,
do swear that I will well and truly execute
do swear that I will well and truly execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of the City of Hendersonville Finance Director
of the City of Hendersonville Finance Director
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
All right. Now, we both have to sign this. Could I borrow your pen?
Yes, ma'am.
There we go.
More lady bosses.
Yeah.
Taking over.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get Jill to take care of the rest of it later on. All right, next, reestablishment of utility late fees and disconnections.
Mayor vote, members of the city council, immediately following Hurricane Helene, you correctly or appropriately suspended utility late fees and disconnections for our utility customers because of the time of the crisis, and we continue to do that. However, we are starting to see a number of our customers get behind in the utility payments, and we're beginning to get concerned that they will have a hard time catching up when we do return to establishing late fees and disconnection for the lack of payment. So we're asking council to consider reestablishing the late fee penalties and disconnection sooner rather than later. To give you an example, for the months of August, September, October, and November, our outstanding balances were only $88,000. Well, not only, were $88,000. In 1 month, through the month of December, that has now jumped up to $145,000. So we are seeing increases in delinquent accounts. Talking to our finance team, we feel like that if we could reestablish utilization of late fees and disconnection on March 1st, that would give them time to notify our folks that are that have delinquent accounts and start trying to catch up before we have to take those measures of late penalties and disconnection. So at this point, we just asked, since the council made the decision right after Helene to do that, that was a priority of yours. We wanted to go ahead at this meeting, one, publicize that we need everybody to start working on their accounts and make them current, and two, get the council's blessing. We'll come back and make formal approval at your next meeting if we have direction, but get council's direction to reestablish late fees and disconnections as of March 1st, 2025. So we're glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
And the finance team just happens to be here.
Any questions? Not, there's a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that the City Council direct staff to take necessary action to reestablish utility late fees and authorize service disconnection for non-payment effective March 1st of 2025.
Is there any discussion? If not, those in favor of the directive to staff, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, and we'll look forward to a formal resolution then next month. Next, we have a resolution for the RAISE grant.
Evening, Mayor and Council. There is a very short presentation. For those of you and maybe the public that's not aware of the Above the Mud project. There we go. So, brief timeline on the project. This has kind of been around for a few years. So we started to apply for a RAISE grant for this project in 2022. and decided to not apply. We got so far in the application, decided not to apply. City of Brevard was applying for their raise grant application at the same time. Thought it might, we didn't want to compete with the Acosta Trail, so we kind of sat on that. Later in 2022, we applied for the same project for a USDOT Reconnecting Communities planning grant. The project was shortlisted. We made it to the second round and ended up not receiving the funding for that. Fast forward to 2023, into last year, we received NCDOT grant funding for a planning grant, and we completed the feasibility study, which you all adopted at your September meeting of 2024. And now here in 2025, we are in the process of applying for a USDOT, I should have mentioned RAISE stands for Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. Not sure if that acronym will hold federally, but it's the same pot of money. The grant is available. The deadline for the grant is January 30th. So we're working with our consultant, Alta Planning and Design, who had submitted the successful Brevard Raise Grant application. Project components, this might be a little hard for folks to see, but component one is the Above the Mud grant, which, there we go, I think. That doesn't seem to be working, but anyway, kind of in the middle of the screen, in the blue is component one, which is the connection between the Acosta, which is the kind of the orange line at the bottom of the screen that goes into the circle, which is future roundabout. So that's the end of the Acosta. Component one would link the Acosta to the existing Ocklawaha Greenway. Did I do that, or?
I did.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I was hoping I didn't butcher anything. Thanks, Brandy. And then component two would be an extension of some street improvements, streetscape improvements to 7th Avenue from the phase one portion down to the Ocklawaha, which would be a matter, it wouldn't look exactly like the just completed phase one. It'd be a mix of bike lanes, some slightly wider sidewalks, a lot of ADA improvements, and street lighting. Component three is would be a festival street along South Main Street, which I'm pretty sure you saw about a year or so ago as part of the, saw some concepts as part of the master plan, the Parks and Green Space Master Plan process. So component three would include that, where we could actually turn the street into more of a, it would still serve for vehicular transportation, but could be more easily converted to event space for things like Rhythm and Brews and other events. And then component four is would be a kind of a fix of the county-owned and maintained portion of the Ocklawaha there in Jackson Park, which consistently floods and it would likely include some drainage and potentially boardwalk. We're not locked in on any of that yet, but basically some things to raise the trail above the mud, if you will. So this is just a very high-level concept of what a festival street might look like. This is something that Alta put together for the application, which shows that we've got a great cycle track down there on South Main Street now that our folks had just put in last year. So this would kind of make this area more of a kind of a curbless, flexible space, permeable pavers, and kind of a new downtown gateway element. At least that's what this concept is showing. Project outcomes: vibrant, safe, active community, even more of a vibrant, safe, and active community, greatly improved access to downtown, more livable, resilient streets that use innovative stormwater practices, and economic revitalization are all would be all key project outcomes. And community engagement, so again, I mentioned we kicked this off back in 2022. We did have a public meeting that was very well attended. At that point, we ended up not applying for that grant application then. We went through the feasibility study, which included a steering committee, public meetings. We conducted 2 surveys, and now this process, which we started last fall when you all allowed us to contract with Alta Planning and Design back in November. So this has been a pretty tight window. We've had a stakeholder group and have done a community survey which just wrapped up. And there was some promotion and to raise awareness at the listening sessions that a few of you all did, the later ones. Last fall, as well as at the Turkey Trot. We did some door-to-door outreach at Green Meadows and 7th Avenue. That motley crew that you see there went door to door. And then we've received so far 36 letters of support for the project. And here's a suggested motion. There's the full resolution, which I think should be in your packet as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Comments? Anything?
This is very exciting. Yeah.
Okay, yep, no questions, a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that the City Council approve the resolution to submit a raise grant application to USDOT for the Above the Mud project.
Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. Thank you for all the work that went into it. Okay. Next, appointment of Mayor Volk as voting delegate for the North Carolina League of Municipalities Legislative Priorities.
Mayor Volk, members of City Council, just real briefly, the League of Municipalities does have a legislative process where we set priorities for each biennium for the North Carolina General Assembly. They have put together a list of 16 proposed priorities, asking for each local government, each city to vote for 10, and ask that the City Council appoint one of our elected officials to do that. We'll talk about the priorities in just a minute, but historically and tradition-wise, Mayor Volk has served not only on the legislative committee from time to time at the league, but also as our voting delegate. But it does require formal action by the City Council to appoint her to serve in that role and vote on your behalf based on the priorities that they establish momentarily.
Any questions for Mr. Khanna? Not, a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that the City Council appoint Mayor Barbara Volk as the city's voting delegate for the NCLM legislative priorities process.
Is there any discussion? If not, those in favor of appointing Mayor Volk as the voting delegate say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it, and I will cast my vote as you direct me to in the next session here.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, Mayor Volk and members of the City Council, your proposed legislative priorities for this biennium, as the General Assembly actually convened today, and swore in their new members. So what I think, there we go. I have the league priorities, but also I have priorities that I have received from members of the City Council, and I've listed those as your top legislative priorities. So I would like to just reconfirm those with this group. One being that a quarter-cent sales tax authorization still continues to be our top priority, and we will continue to ask for that to take the burden of city services completely right now it's completely on our property taxpayers, which is our largest, the one revenue source that we can control. An additional quarter-cent sales tax would spread that burden among our visitors and folks that come into the community. So that would be one priority. A second one would be prior to the last election, the municipal election was moved, and as part of that, the filing period was moved from July back to December. So I've heard from the city council members that you would like to, since we do not have a primary, that and we're elected by plurality, to try to approach Senator Moffett to change that so that the filing period does begin in July. So that would be your second one. Third, go through the process of establishing the rotating name structure on the ballots for the city council, so that Simpson's not always at the bottom, and Baxter's not always. So anyway, rotating ballot. So and then thirdly, this was brought to our attention by you to adjust the municipal candidate reporting deadlines to be campaign reporting consistent with the other elections. And I have spoken to our Board of Elections about that. They support that and asked us to also have these discussions about all of these with our neighboring communities to make sure they support, and hopefully we'll move forward. So those are your top priorities. Now, as I said, the league prepared 16 proposed legislative goal statements. They are also included in your packet. I put them on slides. Their request is that each city votes for 10. Staff has gone through and reviewed the 16, and I have recommended 10 for you, but city council can change that. So I will go through the 10 that I would recommend, and then also show you the others that you may want to move around if you feel like those are more important than the 10 that I've suggested. So the first 4 that you see there would be, the first one being create incentives that encourage and adequately fund regionalized water and sewer solutions. We continue to be approached for that, and so the ability to receive funding to help really where we see the greatest need for funding is to help those smaller utilities bring them up to our standards. So that would be, I felt like it was an appropriate priority. Expand funding opportunities for disaster resiliency and recovery efforts. Obvious no-brainer there after what we've just gone through. Establish long-term funding streams that adequately address water, sewer, stormwater, transportation, and other infrastructure needs. Again, something that we battle with as part of our capital improvement program every budget cycle. And then finally, the final one on this slide, expand state transportation funding streams for constructions and maintenance of municipal and state-owned secondary roads. Again, knowing that's a priority of city council and knowing that our PAL bill funds do not come close to providing the revenue that is needed to maintain our streets. The second list of staff recommended would be create incentives to encourage the development of diverse housing options. Again, affordable housing is a priority of this council. Provide resources to rehabilitate or purchase blighted properties. Deals with code enforcement. Also, it helps address if there are resources there to rehabilitate, they become part of our affordable housing option. Third on this slide is reduce regulatory conflicts between state agencies that discourage voluntary consolidation, merge, and interconnection of municipal utility systems. Not a huge issue in our area, but if we continue to merge systems or interconnect, particularly to our south, that could become a potential issue, or maybe even to our north as it may become, as it relates to interbasin transfers and things like that. Provide local revenue options other than the property tax. That's, again, a no-brainer since one of your top priorities is the quarter-cent sales tax. And then the final 2 of my recommended 10 are update the annexation retention thresholds to make voluntary annexations easier to initiate. And then 2, protect the ability of the municipal elected officials to acting on behalf of local voters to determine your election formats, districts, and other election matters currently under your purview. Again, that also falls in line with some of your priorities at the top there. So those are the 10 that I have recommended to you. I will now show you the other 6 that you may feel that you want to replace some of my 10 with these. So the first 3 is increase funds to remediate contamination in local water supplies. This is directly related mainly to the PFAS contamination that is occurring, particularly to the eastern part of the state. This is not a significant issue currently for us, so I did not include that as our 10. It doesn't mean it would not be something that would not arise in the future, but anyway. Expand incentives and funding for local economic development. Feel like we have a strong economic development program, so I left that one off. Create an orphan road program whereby the state improves those roads to North Carolina Department DOT standards before we assume maintenance responsibilities. They adequately fund us, which is one of our other priorities. This may not be an issue. And then the final 3 there is support technical assistance programs to assist municipalities with securing or maintaining grants or other necessary municipal resources. Feel like we're doing pretty good there with our highly professional staff. Secondly, address the needs of change in municipal workforce through state assistance that supports employee retention, including training and recruitment. Again, it's an important item, but did not reach in my top 10. And then finally, preserve authority for extraterritorial jurisdiction to ensure that growth is well planned and investments by owners and business owners are protected. This is not, the ETJ has not been a priority. I mean, it's something that we use now, but also discussed that it may have lived its useful life. So I did not establish that as a priority. So those are the other 6 that you may consider if you want to go back and replace any of mine. So, and I'll stand by to answer any questions.
Questions from Mr. Conant? Anything you would like to have switched?
Should we write another letter of resolution about the quarter sent to Sam?
So,
We've sent like 3 or 4.
yeah, so you have a resolution in your packet that directs staff to do whatever's necessary to put forth your legislative goals. Also asked that the mayor and the mayor pro tem meet with our delegation to share these goals and priorities with them, which we will then share that information together with our delegation. And
They're
then,
gonna be really surprised about that one, I think.
yeah. And then also it authorizes the mayor to vote to 10 based on, so you do have a resolution in your packet that kind of lays all that out.
Anything else? Questions, comments?
And I will give the city attorney cover. She was out of town, so she's not read the resolution, so if there's anything wrong, it's me.
Well, now I'm nervous to make the motion. Madam Mayor, I move that the city council approve the 2025 legislative priorities resolution as presented by the city manager.
Is there any discussion? If not, those in favor of the 2025 legislative priorities, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Let's have it. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and whoever else on staff worked through that. We appreciate it. Review of the January 22nd, 2025 workshop.
So I just wanted, there should be a copy of the updated draft agenda at your places. I just want to take a moment just to review that. We are having the floodplain workshop on January 22nd, which is your normal second monthly workshop meeting. Staff has met several times. We have invited members of the state floodplain office to join us. So they will be there as part to help participate. But you'll see here We have broken it down into really 5 areas. The first area will spend about as planned, but we just stand by for any direction from City Council. First area will spend about 15 minutes talking about floodplain regulation in general. We call it Floodplain Regulation 101. Just going through what is currently allowed, what is the 100-year floodplain, development versus redevelopment, base flood level, the freeboard requirements we currently require folks in the floodplain, in the 100-year floodplain to build up 2 feet above the base flood level. We'll talk more about that, what a no-rise study is, how, if you can fill in a floodplain, and then if you have damage, the 50% rule. So the first 15 minutes are really just going to be high-level, general discussion about what the current laws are that we have in our ordinance and what the state says. Then we'll spend 30 minutes. Section 2 will spend 30 minutes talking about floodplain mapping. We felt like we could spend a lot of time about how the maps are created, what they show, what they don't show, how you update the maps, when and how they're updated, how you could do a letter of map amendment. Our maps that we use are FEMA maps. They're started through technology. There's some alternative maps we'll talk a little bit about, and then how and when the maps may be updated. So that would be 30 minutes. So 15 minutes for the first section, 30 minutes for the second section. Again, rough times. And allow time, questions as we go along. And then third area, which we devoted 45 minutes, is really an opportunity for council and staff and the state to talk about what is reasonable as it relates to development in the floodplain, around the floodplain. Considerations being, how much developable property there is in the city, public safety, affordable housing, private property rights, and the idea of development moratorium. So we'll spend about 45 minutes doing that as just a general discussion. So we'll lay the groundwork in the first 45 minutes and have a discussion with City Council in that next 45 minutes. And then we'll leave 30 minutes at the end to talk about other items, other information that may have come up in the other 3 categories related to the community rating system, which is helps people get flood insurance. Any ordinance amendments council may feel like we need to make or change, you need to direct staff. If there are any questions about regulations from other jurisdictions, what other jurisdictions are doing, and then also any information regarding floodplain mitigation and recovery. So spend 30 minutes there and then finalize, and then ultimately have direction from staff of what you'd like for us to bring back, if anything. So that is our proposed agenda for the 22nd. I stand by to make alterations, add anything, or as council may see fit, because this was your idea and your direction you felt it was important enough that we do this.
I think one of the things that I was thinking about when I had talked to you about this, John, too, was since there are so many other municipalities and counties around us who are dealing with the same issues, would it be helpful to invite them to be able to learn? And if we have invited, I don't know if we have or reached out.
I've reached out to all the managers and communities, including, and also some the Partnership for Economic Development, Board of Realtors. So yes, I have invited. We will send the final agenda once council approves it with the second, but I have a save to date out there for the county and all the other municipal jurisdictions in the county that they have.
Where is the location?
So we feel like we're gonna do it in this room. We've kind of gone back and forth. We talked about it just because of noticing, and we weren't sure how many people are coming. And the idea, because we have all the logistics and technical stuff here. We know it may be a little bit crowded, and we're gonna prepare the overflow area. But when we started looking at the pros and cons, that we were gonna choose to use this room, but we'll stand by for direction from the city council if you feel like we just didn't. We feel like we should do it somewhere else, so.
I'm concerned this might not be big enough for the people. How many people can come into this room?
55, I think is what that says out there.
Okay.
Is that what I remember, Allison?
55.
Yeah, so.
Maybe that's enough.
I mean, there's a lot of chairs out there too.
Yeah. And then who will be helping to lead the discussion on just the data and the information?
So, our team, Mike Huffman and our team will be leading kind of the conversation, but also, we'll have the folks, as I understand it, some, from the state, someone who's been doing this a long time and who has a lot of expertise and experience in dealing with floodplain regulation across North Carolina, and is really the person that when our team or other municipalities have questions, that's who we go to. That's who people in the state go to generally at the state level as it relates to floodplain development.
And geographically, because we are in a mountainous region, you feel comfortable with that person as well?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Awesome.
Will the public be able to watch?
Yes, it's a public meeting. They're welcome to come. And we will stream it, I think is our plan. So we're gonna stream it, so if they're not able to get in the room or whatever, they can watch it.
I don't know how in-depth people wanna get, but some of it might be interesting.
The one question that's been asked to me, and this is a conversation, just up to the mayor and the city council, is if we generally don't take public comment, okay, and we'll continue not to do that. I see shaking of head. Maybe what we'll do is we'll provide this as a workshop, educational, and then folks can come to the next formal meeting and provide any public comment associated. So that's what I will let.
Fill the whole 2 hours of public comment.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think there may be a motion there, or maybe not. Nope, just good.
Okay. Anyone have anything they'd like to have changed about that agenda? Otherwise, can go with that.
Thanks for pulling it together so fast.
I think, I just have this is just kind of follow-up about floodplain, and then it makes me think of Hurricane Helene, and then also then the budget's coming up, and then budget's based off of ad valorem taxes and that kind of stuff. So, do we have numbers yet on damage assessments from the tax office and the impacts to city finances?
I do not.
Have we requested it?
We haven't.
We have asked about it. We've been told early January.
Okay.
Early January's almost over.
It's early January. Maybe we should get them to give us a presentation on how they're doing those and how that impacts us.
It's not a bad idea.
Glad to make that request.
Thank you.
Anything else? Next is city council comments. Anyone have something they want to say?
Thank you for the very quick agenda for our first meeting of the year. It's greatly appreciated.
I just wanted to, while we have Mr. Zafra here and he brought up the point of thinking about a memorial for lives lost in the storm, I just wanted to circle back to that and see if any of y'all had started conversations maybe with the county or if there was anything in process for that. I think it's getting to be time that we start those conversations probably.
I've not had any conversations and I've not heard.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if that necessarily needs to be hours within the city, but I think it would be respectful to do something at least to memorialize the lives that we lost here in the county.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Think about it and circle back.
I'll talk to John Mitchell and maybe it's something, I'm spitballing here, don't know what it looks like. At least something we would consider appropriate dedicating on September 27th, 2025, somewhere in there is that 1 year. But anyway, we'll get there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think it should be community-wide, not just City of Hendersonville.
Definitely.
Great. Okay, thank you. City manager report.
Just real briefly, First of all, your December contingency and adjustment report is in your agenda packet for your review. We'll stand by to answer any questions about that tonight or in the future, otherwise. Secondly, just a little bit as it relates to Mr. Zaffra's comment as well as FEMA in general. We continue to work with debris removal. It continues to be a major topic among our staff. And so our staff is actually driving around the city and using our GIS to pinpoint any remaining debris piles so that we can provide that to the state contractor to remove. So Brent assures me or has told me that should be done at the end of this week. We want to provide that list to try to get the remaining piles up. There are, I was riding around the city today, there still are a number of piles out there. So we are going to identify and give those to the state contractor to pick those up. So that's that. Secondly, we continue to meet with our FEMA consultant regarding reimbursement and FEMA and also our insurance company. We're working through that process. It's still going to be a lengthy process. We've got some insurance money, very little, kind of a advance on what we spent to date. But they've got that money that's helping us with cash flow. You approved a zero interest loan that will also help us tonight. So we'll continue on FEMA. It will be our priority to really start submitting these grant projects and applications for our reimbursement in the next 3 weeks. And then following that, mitigation projects and things that will allow us to come back stronger and better and try to prevent some of the damage in the future. So we're working on that. So that wanted to give you that and give the public that update related to. One other thing, we're having our staff retreat the next 2 days. The snow is going to interfere a little bit with it, but we're traveling to Boone. We're traveling to Boone to go skiing. Nice. We're traveling to Boone tomorrow. We're going to cut it a little short, we think, on Friday morning, but we'll spend a lot of time talking about our experiences of the storm, how we used the instant command system, how we worked as a team. We did very well, but there's things that we can do better. So we'll spend the next kind of 24 hours beginning tomorrow doing that, and then so that'll be part of that process. So that's going on. And then finally, our public services team is preparing for the snow. You'll start seeing us brine the streets.
DOT has already done
It's
the
already started.
main street.
So we're doing that, and we'll also, public services is putting their plows on the trucks and establishing schedules. So if we do get significant snow, we'll be plowing snow. So just want everybody to know that. So.
Anything else from anyone? If not, have safe travels. And we are adjourned.